I remember the Pig and Whistle as sort of a family place that we would go when I was little. When I was a little kid, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. Back then there weren't many fast food restaurants. I think we mentioned the McDonald's. I think that was one of the first burger joints that came in, and the one here in Macon was one of the first franchise McDonald's in the country over there on Rocky Creek Road. So there's a little history there, but for the most part, you had places like the Varsity, you had Fincher's, and places like the Pig and Whistle. You didn't have Burger Kings and Church's Chickens and KFC on every corner like you do now. So when you wanted fast food, that was one of the places you went. And I can remember being little, you'd pull into the Pig and Whistle, and each one of them, they were the car hops, the bellhops. And I think each one of them had certain parking spaces, because when you pull in, they'd start waving you into their particular space, So you'd pull in there, and they'd come to the thing. And I remember they had the little aprons with little change counters and stuff. And you put your order. A lot of times we get it to go, but I do remember too eating it there. Especially sometimes my brother would take us over there. Donnie would go over there, and you'd have a little tray on the side of the car, and you'd eat off the tray. But typically, our folks would go over there and get it because, as I said, I grew up not far from there, right over there off of Napier, so that wasn't that far to go. And the Pig and Whistle had, obviously, the barbecue sandwiches, but they had a hamburger plate called the Whataburger. And I remember, you go, and my mom would say, get like 3 barbecue sandwiches and get
Tasty Burger.
Tasty Burger and the Whataburger, whatever, the Tasty Burger, and it was a plate, and I had the hamburger, all the fixings, and the French fries, and like I would know when my dad had stopped by there to pick something up, because you know what you were going to get because of the way it was packaged in the sack. If it was the hamburger, the Tasty Burger, the big hamburger, it would have been slid in the sack sideways, and the sack would be folded over that way. It would be flat. If it were barbecue sandwiches, they would be down in the sack with the sack opening to the top. Those kind of things that, the Pig and Whistle, and there's these iconic places like that. We talked about the Varsity. You talked about the Varsity up in Atlanta. There's so much history and so many great decisions and so many great people crossroads there. I mean, there's people that, and some would say even, this was a time when before civil rights, the movement, you had people who worked together, who ate together and socialized together right there at that crossroads there. So it was sort of a commentary on the times, but it was also ahead of its time, because you had so many different people from different backgrounds. It's sort of the melting pot right there of different people who took those experiences from that, from working there or eating there or socializing there, and took that and moved it on into great